With over 400 celebrity interviews and tons of pop culture nerdiness, Too Opinionated is a safe haven for your inner geek. Find us at meistercon.com or on YouTube under MeisterCon Pod. And please subscribe. It would really help us out. Thanks, everybody. Hi, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Too Opinionated. Super excited today. I've got actor Charles Andrew Payne with me. So welcome, Charles.
Hey, thank you for having me.
Oh, nice. I'm so glad you came on the show. Been a fan of yours for a while. You've been doing this for a little while.
You know, I actually got started, I think, around the age of 12. So, you know,
that's really young.
Yeah, I've been in the game for some time, but you know, didn't really start taking it seriously till I was, you know, like 17 or 18 or so. But prior to that, it was just a case of, oh, this is something I do. Right.
Yeah.
So.
Well, that makes sense. When you're younger, you think you know everything, but you don't know anything.
Oh, and you don't know what you're doing. I was just out, you know. I started out actually as a model. That's how I got started in show business.
Yeah, very nice.
I looped into that by accident. Seriously, my sister used to model for this agency. She's younger than me. And I went with my mom one day to pick her up from some session she was in. And the owner of the agency walked by me as I was sitting in the hallway, and she looked at me and she walked away, and she came back again and she says, "I don't know you. Are you one of ours?" And I said, "No, I'm just here with my mom pick up my sister." And she goes, "Oh, you should be." And next thing I know, I was in an office with my mom and I started modeling.
Very nice. Well, what did you think at that age? What did you think about the modeling industry?
I thought it was weird.
Yeah.
I thought it was weird that people wanted to take pictures of me and put me in you know, like in advertisements and stuff. And I just thought the whole thing was weird. I always thought it was weird. And even as I got older and I started doing more of it, I still thought it was weird. And I never once actually believed that I should be. I used to actually have nightmares, strange as it would be. I think it was like, you know, nowadays I think they call it imposter syndrome. But back then what it was is I'd have nightmares that I'd be at a photo shoot or doing a fashion show, walking on the runway, and someone would yell out in the audience, "Why is he involved?" And I would wake up.
Yeah, why am I involved?
Yeah, why am I involved? My mom said I could do this, so here I am. So.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, that's terrific. Well, so I'm gonna give you a couple of shows. These are the ones that I remember seeing you in early. This has been a while back, so you tell me which one was the earliest.
Okay,
because I'm not sure, but I was trying to figure out today what was the first thing I saw you in. So I've got three. So those three:
right.
Highlander, MacGyver, 21 Jump Street.
Okay. You got them in the reverse order. So the one, okay. Yeah, prior to 21 Jump Street, I've done a ton of commercials, and I've done like one or two little like small parts. And again, here's the connection to the modeling. I'm at a fashion show. I think I'm about 18 or 19 at that time. And after the show, this lady comes up to me and asks me if I'm an actor, because she was cast in the pilot for a TV show. Of course, at the time, I didn't even know what pilot meant. She was cast in the show, and she was looking for a young Black actor and having a tough time finding would I be interested in auditioning. And I don't know, you know, you hear stories of strangers coming up and asking, you know, telling me that they're agents or whatever. And so I was a little leery, but anyhow, I said sure, and she gave me her card and told me to show up the next day at this time. So I did, and she pre-screened me. Back then, that's what they did. So we did a pre-screen. So she gave me the scene, and I went and worked it for about 10, 15 minutes. Then I went in and read for her, and she made me do it again, gave me some coaching. And then she said, "Okay, great. I'm going to come back this afternoon to read for the producers and the director." Oh, okay. Still rookie in my head, not really sure what the process is. So I go back in and I read for Patrick Hasberg and Kim Manners, who's passed away now. And I did the read and didn't think much of it. I did it kind of how she coached me. And then I left and I thanked him. I left. And as I was getting out to my car, the casting assistant comes running out. She said, Charles, they want you to come back in. And
That's a good sign.
Yeah. So again, didn't know at the time, completely naive. Go running back in, and they had me read it again. And Kim Manners looks at me. He says, what are you doing for the next 3 weeks? I said, I don't know. What am I doing for the next 3 weeks? He goes, well, I guess you'll be working with me. I'll see you on set. It's one of the few times in my careers I was booked in the room.
Yeah.
And so I got to work with, and that was my first real big role, so to speak, because it was a guest star role in a pilot for a TV series. And here's something most people may not or may not know. Johnny Depp was not the original actor.
Oh, really?
When we were shooting the pilot, there was a cat playing that role named Jeff Fahey. And we shot for about a week and a half. And I guess maybe, I don't know if he wasn't testing well or what have you, but he was replaced by Johnny Depp. And we started all over again.
Yeah, I had no idea. Yeah, I remember watching that when it first came out. It was Johnny Depp.
Yeah, it was Johnny Depp and a cat named Reginald Dorsey, who I am still friends with. Who played? I played Ray Ray, and he played Waxer. And we were the original bad guys on 21 Jump Street. And that was my first real. Oh, this acting thing could be something.
Oh, that's terrific. Yeah. I thought maybe that was the one, but like on Highlander, I think your character's name was like Thunder or something.
Thunder Rodriguez.
That's right.
Right. Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah.
You know what's it's fun when you're a big fan of a show, and then you get an opportunity to be on the show. I was a big Highlander fan, even like the movies before the show. Oh yeah. So I love that sci-fi stuff. Yeah, so an opportunity to be on Highlander and be part of that.
Did you get to like use a sword?
No. My coach was the Immortal on the show. But no, that was a lot of fun. Really good cats on that show too. So
yeah, we've had Adrian Paul has been on the podcast, and he does this thing now where you can go to he picks a castle, you go to the castle, you sword fight all day with him, and then you have a feast at night, and he just moves it around. Yeah, that's what I said. I was like, well, that's the best idea I've ever heard.
Yeah, that's fantastic that you could do that. Does he take you to like Scotland and the Highlands?
Yeah, I think he travels all over the world just picking different. I didn't ask him what it would cost. I'm sure it's not cheap, but and wow. I was like, well, he should feed you because he's just going to beat you to death.
That's the sword fighting. Wow.
Sword fighting. He's been doing that for a while, so he's. Okay, I don't know that'd be the one I'd want to start with.
That's remarkable.
Well, and then so the new movie, you're doing a Left Behind movie, right? The Rise of the Antichrist.
Yes.
Which has got Kevin Sorbo in it, but you've worked with him a couple of different times.
I've worked with Kevin. This will be our third project together, which is very funny because I did a guest star on Andromeda. When he was,
I remember you being on Andromeda.
I played Daniluk on Andromeda. That was a fun, space bounty hunter, bad dude. Loved him. And then
that was a good role. It was a good show, but that was a really good role.
That was a fun role. That was a fun role. I remember, in the audition room when the director wasn't paying attention when I started, and then he looked up and he goes, "You're scary." I said, yes.
Yes, I am.
Yes, I am. And that was fun. And again, another show, because I'm a big sci-fi nerd, another show that I used to watch, and then getting to be on the show that you watch. Again, lots of fun. And then Kevin and I did another movie in, I think it was 20, I might get the dates wrong. That's a period piece called Miracle in East Texas. And I play a minister in that, and and John Ratzenberger from Cheers is on that as well. And they're kind of a flim flam artist, and they, it's my church that they wanted to do their thing on. And then Kevin came back again and to do Left Behind, and
you must be doing something right. He keeps bringing you along.
he's bringing me along, and I thank him very much for the opportunity. But this project here, Left Behind, I didn't know the depth of the fan base and the books, and it's pretty remarkable. Once I started posting on like my social media pages and stuff that this movie was coming that I was in, and so many people would ping me, people I had no idea that, I'm friends who were like, my God, I read these books. You're in this? Wow. And I was like, oh, okay. And then
they're super popular.
Over 80 million copies sold. I was like, and they are fanatical about these books, and they're very particular about their, making sure that we follow the text well, which the writers did. So I'm happy about that. And, and people are excited to come and see it. So,
well, yeah. Well, the books were terrific. I read those back in the day.
Yeah.
And you're playing Pastor Bruce, which is a pretty big role in the books.
Yes, he's a very, very much loved character and central to and integral to the story, which is I didn't do the research on the books until after we finished filming. And then
was that intentional? Was that a choice to so you wouldn't be influenced?
I didn't want to be influenced. I also didn't watch the previous movies until after we had done, again, not wanting to be influenced. I wanted to bring my own take to him and who I thought he was. And his journey resonated. When I read it, I was like, oh, there's a man who's conflicted.
I think that's why he's so beloved, is because he could be any of us. He's just very conflicted. He doesn't know exactly where he fits in. He's a pastor, but he's got doubts, and it all comes into play. But it's also kind of a redemption story too.
Yes, there's hope. But yeah, I was like, he's conflicted, and how must it feel to be, the pastor?
Yeah.
And most of your flock gets taken, but you're still left behind. Why? I was just like, oh, what does that mean? And then, like, right? That he was going to church, but he was just, leading the church, just paying lip service. And then he has a nice arc where he redefines and refocuses and finds his faith again. And there's hope and there's redemption, and and he has a reason for being there. I'm like, yeah, what a fun thing to do, right?
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't act, but if I was an actor, that would be exactly the type of role I'd want, because that's a juicy role.
That's a juicy role. You could sink your teeth in it. And then they came back and said to me, we want you to narrate the film.
Oh, I didn't realize that. That's nice.
Yeah. So yeah, I actually I finally got to see most of the film last night, actually. And yeah, from the opening frame to the end frame, you either see me or you hear my voice.
Oh, what a role. That's pretty well. And it comes out like on the 26th, right?
On the 26th, yes. And I will be going. My wife has organized a viewing party for the opening night, and so I have a large group of friends that are all coming.
That's a good wife right there.
She's my unofficial PR agent, my biggest supporter. Anything I'm doing, she gets her little network going. As you know, I also do stand-up comedy, and sometimes she'll sell out my shows for me.
That's pretty good. So when did the comedy come into it? When you were modeling, then you had the acting, at what point did you say, okay, I'm gonna stand in front of a mic and do some comedy?
Okay, Michael, I'm gonna tell you a story here, okay? Because so I love stand-up comedy. I love storytelling, and I would watch it religiously, like Def Jam, Comedy Jams, and everything. And my buddies and I would go on Wednesday nights. They'd have open mic night at the comedy club, and we'd go and have beers and chicken wings and what have you. We've been doing that for a few months now. And I think they kind of figured out that I was dragging them to this because I was interested in it. So we show up one time, and they're kind of acting weird. And then the MC gets on the stage and he says, brings up a couple of these open mics. So you get 5 minutes to go do your stuff. And so 2-3 comics have gone through, and then the MC gets on stage and he says, don't know much about this next comic that's coming up, but his friends tell me that he's really funny. Please welcome to the stage, Charles Andrew Payne. And I went, what? And my friends are killing themselves laughing, right? And I'm like, what? And the guy's like, Charles Payne, are you coming up? And they're like, go. And so I was like, so I went up and I did 5 minutes of storytelling. I told, story about some stuff we talked about on the drive and some material I kind of written in my head because I was thinking about doing it, but I wouldn't do it. And people laughed. And there is no better feeling.
Yeah.
I was hooked.
I mean, that could have went horribly wrong.
Yes, but it didn't. It didn't. And so I was like, oh, maybe I do have. But so what I did was I found the comedy writing class and started doing open mics and working out my craft. And then I got my first pro gig, and rest is history.
I think that's a good lesson for aspiring comedians. Always have something ready, even if you've never done it yet.
Yeah.
You never know.
You never know. Well, I have friends. I have a lot of performers for friends. And one of the things I noticed, my friends who are singers, if we go to some place and there's somebody with a piano or something or a band and they say, oh, you're a singer too, you want to come up? They never say no. Right? They're like, oh, yeah, you're going to let me come up on your show and sing a couple songs? Absolutely. And so I've kind of taken that. So if I go to a comedy club and they recognize me and they, hey, you want to do 5 minutes? Why not?
Yeah. I mean, I think most people would be terrified of that, but I think that's a good attitude to take, not just with comedy, but just in life.
Yeah.
Say yes.
That's been my mantra, Michael.
Yeah.
I say that, people say that, that I say all the time. I don't call myself an actor or a comic, or I'm a performer. And I say yes.
Yeah.
Put your hand up, say yes. Why not? Right?
Why not?
When people say, why do you do so many things? I say, why don't you?
You're missing out.
I'm not the anomaly. You should be. Life is too short that you should deny yourself the opportunity to try different things. How do you know? There's such a big.
Have you said yes and it turned out horribly?
Not yet. What I mean by that is, so my attitude about performing, about pretty much everything I do in life, is don't let your ego make decisions for you.
Yeah.
Say yes. And you'll always learn something. You either win or you learn, right? You don't lose. You learn something. It's always a growing experience. You can always take something from it. I've said yes, and it's led me, because the other way of looking at this, Michael, is this. The answer is always no if you don't ask the questions. And if you ask and they say no, your life continues down the path you were already on. Nothing's changed. But if you ask and they say yes, then world of opportunities open up for you. So I kind of flipped that around. I said, just say yes when they ask. Charles, you want to come and give a talk? Yes. Charles, I'm doing it as a short independent film. It's not a big budget, but I'd love for you to come out and be part of it. Yes.
Right? I love that.
Yeah.
It's kind of what we've done with this podcast, especially when we first started. We're like, well, how do we get guests? Well, I guess we better start asking some people, or we're never going to get any. And to our surprise, we had a few come on, and then a few more, and then a few more, and now most of the time we don't have to ask; they're asking us, which is pretty nice. But that never would have happened if we didn't have the courage. Let's say
you didn't have the courage, and you didn't stick your hand up and lean into it and say, yeah, why not me? Right? That's my whole how I go about life. It's like, why not? And if I'm curious about something, I'm going to go ask. And if I like something that you're doing, throughout my whole life, that's how I've done it. I've seen somebody doing something that I think is interesting. I go up and say, hey,
I love that.
I'm really curious about what you're doing. Tell me more about. Tell me how you got started. Tell me what what I need to do to get where you are.
Yeah.
And surprisingly, people are always wanting to help, and I always now flip it around and return the favor. Somebody reaches out to me and say, "Hey, I like what you're doing. Tell me how." Absolutely, say yes.
It's like, well, first you need a couple of friends that will just throw you up on stage.
that actually, a couple of friends that think you're funny, and then who like to play practical jokes, and we'll see where we go.
There you go. See where it leads. I enjoyed you on Wynona Earp.
Oh, Jock.
Yeah.
I am very sad that show didn't continue.
Oh, me too. So I'll tell you a little story. So back in the 90s, I was in college and I put myself through college. I owned a couple of comic book stores.
Okay.
Best job I've ever had. Worked really well until I got married and started having kids, and then I was like, okay, maybe not as easy to survive on a comic book salary. But in college, terrific. But there was this writer, and he wrote for Eclipse Comics, which doesn't exist anymore. And he would come in and hang out at the store and just talk comic books. Just absolutely love the guy. Well, that was Bo Smith. And then, we used to talk about him wanting to make television and have some of his comics turn into a TV show. And then, I'm flipping through the channels one day and there's Wynona Earp.
That's fantastic. And hey, we have that in common. I loved comic books as a kid. And I have the stereotypical story where I had my collection of comic books, and when I moved out of my parents' house, they were left in the garage, and my parents had a garage sale. And they didn't call me and say,
that's a heartbreaking story.
They didn't call me and say, "Hey, we're cleaning out the garage and we found these. Do you want to collect? Come and get them." No, they put them on. So somebody out there somewhere got a really nice collection of comic books at probably at a throwaway price.
Yeah, at a yard sale price.
Yeah.
Those stories always kind of hurt. Like I get that knot in my stomach when I hear those.
Yeah, those
stories. But on the reverse side, if you've ever been on the side that's buying at a yard sale like that, that's pretty exciting.
Well, the other side too is like I'm like, you know what? I kind of forgotten that they were there. So
there you go.
Yeah. So, but so back to Wynona. I loved that show.
Yeah, it was a good show.
The people on it, and I was also again a big fan. And my wife and I watched it weekly and followed along with the Earpers.
The Earpers, that's right. Well, and the nice thing about Bo Smith, and was he's never changed. Like I've run into him. He still lives local here, but I've run into him at a few conventions and stuff. It's the same guy. Nothing, having some show made didn't change him a bit. He's still the same guy, still plugging away. And it wouldn't surprise me if somewhere down the road he gets another one on.
Yeah, that would be fantastic. And I love stories like that where people just continue to be who they are. And regardless of their level of success, they're just who they are. That warms my heart, And that's, again, the people that I worked with on that show, the rest of the cast, some of the most down to earth. We were just all happy to be there telling a story.
Yeah. It was just that was just a fun series. Like if you're a Western fan, you get kind of the modern twist on, but you get some supernatural stuff in there too. It's pretty fun.
Yeah. Do you know what? I auditioned for that show 12 times.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And when they finally booked me on there, I was at the audition and I was in the bathroom talking, and this guy comes out the stall and we're at the sink and we're talking hiring, and he goes, I'm not supposed to tell you this, but every time you come in and audition for us, we like him. But we don't want to waste him on this role. Let's keep him for something else. And I said, oh, and he goes, so your turn's coming. And that's the day I booked it. And he goes, and he was supposed to be a reoccurring character. And then I don't know why it didn't fully flesh out that way. But again, he says, we
like Jock. We wanted him back.
We wanted him back. And I got to work with my good friend, Michael Eklund, who played Bobo. Right? And we've known each other for a long time. And Melanie. And like I said, I'm a Canadian actor. So and I consider myself a journeyman actor. I show up and I do the job. But when I show up on set, they're all like, well, you always have this big grin on your face. I'm like, yeah, I'm a Canadian actor on a movie set. Come on.
Yeah, that if you look at it that way, that's pretty amazing.
Yeah, there's no better place to be.
it's difficult on the acting side to not get, the roles, especially on a show you keep having to try out for. Mm-hmm. But that's what's important. To me, looking from the outside in, it seems like that's what's important. The entertainment side, you have to make those connections because you never know when one of those connections that didn't work right that minute is going to come back around, and that's what happened.
I tell actors coming up all the time when they ask me about my career and how I do it and stuff. I said, you know what? Auditioning is what actors do. That's our job.
Yeah.
When we book the gig and we get to perform, that's the gravy. And every audition is an opportunity. Every audition is an opportunity to leave a calling card. And I have a number of roles on my resume where I'd auditioned for something else. And then, maybe I didn't get it or I didn't get it. And then a couple of productions later, my agent called. He says, oh, I got a role for you. And I said, I don't remember the auditioning for this. He says, you didn't. They're booking you based on an audition you did on 2 projects back. And the director remembered you. And when your headshot came across, he says, oh, let's just book this guy for this role. I've seen his work before. Right?
Yeah, I mean, that's the awesome part. Then you don't have to go through all the stuff.
Yeah, but you did. And you left a calling card.
That's right.
Every audition is a calling card. Just show up. Just say yes. Show up. Do your job. Auditioning is our job.
Yeah. Are you doing more remote auditions now, or are you back to in person?
100% remote.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah, we are not back in any way, shape, or form. And I'm not sure. A lot of actors are of a mixed opinion on that. Here's my view. It is what it is. Yeah. Now, the upside is, for myself personally, it has expanded my world. I'm auditioning for stuff that if they were just doing local, audition in person, I wouldn't get to. But I'm auditioning for stuff in LA, and New York, and Atlanta, and Vancouver, and Toronto. It's a broader view. That's the upside. The downside is that it's a broader view, and there's a lot more competition.
That's right. Well, and you don't get that immediate feedback.
No,
you're kind of one shot and done with a tape. If you're there, maybe they give you some feedback and you get to try again.
You feel like sometimes it feels like you put down your tape and you submit it, and it goes off into the ether, and you don't know unless you get a phone call and they want to book you. Oh, whoa, wow, which one was that? Because that's the upside. The other upside of this is now there's far more auditions. Right. and I sometimes, because I have to, in order to, for my own sanity, I do it. It's one and done. Once I hit submit, I walk away. I have other things going on in my life. So, sometimes I'll get, oh, they want to book you. I'm like, refresh my memory. Which one is it?
Well, and I think people in the business, they understand that because they know, because if you don't have that kind of short-term memory and just keep moving on, I mean, you're not going to last. You're going to stress yourself out.
You can't get too tied to it. You can't get too, I've learned not to attach hope to an audition. And what I mean by that is, when I first started out, every audition is like, you start imagining, oh, when I get this, and blah, blah, blah. Now I just focus on the audition process itself, submit. And I tell actors that too, have a life outside of this. Have other things going on in your world. And, and be training and prep, be ready for the call. And an audition is the first hurdle because, I I'm not sure if you know how it works for us, but your agent, there's a breakdown that goes out to the agencies. The agent submits all their likely candidates, and the casting director flips through and picks who they're gonna bring in. That's hurdle one. You get an audition, you made it through the first hurdle. Pat yourself on the back, right?
You at least have a shot at that.
You now have a shot. They've whittled it down, and they might be bringing in 5, 6, 10 of you audition for this role, but you've been whittled down from the 200-300. Right. So I say that's a win. Take that.
Well, that is a win.
Yeah,
that's a good way to look. I like your attitude with stuff.
Thank you. No, you have to be positive in life. You got to try.
Yeah, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. So the other, there's two of them that I wanted to mention. You played a marshal on Breaking News.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was several episodes, if I remember.
That is correct. Yeah.
Correctly. Yeah. We're friends with Tim Matheson.
Oh, are you?
The star of that. Yeah. Tim is. We love Tim.
Nice.
But yeah. So anything he does, we watch, and I remember. I was like, I'm pretty sure that was a recurring type role.
Yes, it was. It was a recurring role. I've actually had quite a few recurring roles in my career. I've been very fortunate that way.
Yeah. Well, you were on Stargate, but you tell me, because it's been a while since I love Stargate, but it's been a little while. But did you play more than one role?
Yes.
Okay. I didn't think I was crazy. I was like, I'm pretty sure.
Well, okay. So here's a little something that I do. So a lot of actors will do it sometimes. You do a smaller role and it's uncredited, so you don't necessarily. I don't even have it on my resume in some cases, but the fans.
Oh yeah, the fans know.
They know, and I get stuff, and they're like, or someone will ping me like on my social media or something. They'll be like, "Is this you? I thought you," and I'm like, "Yeah."
Like, that's me.
Yes, that's me. Or sometimes, because I've been friends with some people who are directors, and sometimes they're like, "Charles, come on down to the set and visit," and then you end up in costume doing a 1 or 2 or 3 line part or something, and I'm not putting that on the resume. That was just fun.
Yeah. See, they know ahead of time that they're going to do that to you, though. Let's invite Charles over, man.
Yeah, exactly. What? And Stargate again, another. When I first saw the Stargate movie, I was blown away. I love, Egyptian mythology. Big fan.
Me too.
That. And then you pair that with some sci-fi. Well,
it had Kurt Russell in that. I mean, James Spader.
And James Spader, and then when they spun it off and they turned it into a series with Richard Dean Anderson, who I worked with on MacGyver.
Yeah.
So again, it's a small world. Did
he call you Breeze when you showed up?
No, he just went, "I know you." And what's interesting, Richard Dean Anderson was on that show. Christopher Judge, him and I knew each other because we were both from Vancouver. We'd see each other audition and stuff like that. Peter DeLuise directed a lot of those shows, and I know him from 21 Jump Street. So, and Peter Williams, who played Professes on the show, right? Peter Williams and I were friends before, so it's a small circle of people.
Yeah.
Right?
That's kind of fun if you get to work with people that you already know. I think that would be fun.
Right. You show up, it's like a reunion. It's like, oh, right.
Unless you're showing up and you're like, oh no, this guy.
Knock on wood, Michael. I haven't had any of those types of occasions yet. I've been very fortunate to, and again, I'm on a movie set. You'd have to work really hard to put me in a bad mood on a day that I book something I'm working.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah,
that's awesome. I wanted to ask you about I think it's a show, but it's called Realization.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, what is that, and where can I find that one?
It's a web series.
Oh, it's a web series. Okay.
Yeah.
I know it has Lucy Guest because we've had her on the show before. I don't remember if you talked about that. at the time, but that's what caught my eye because I knew.
Yeah, I worked with Lucy. Actually, it's interesting. Scott Lepp, who's the producer of that, is actually producing a project that I believe I'm in coming up as well. Again, small circle. And it, but it's a web series. I did a reoccurring on that one as well. Fun. Again, say yes. I got a phone call one day.
Well, I saw your character was just called Tracksuit.
Yeah, he's a gambler and he wears tracksuits. Every time you see him, he's in a different tracksuit. Right?
Oh, I'd like that role. That'd be fun.
It was fun, and again, it was one of those where I didn't even go through my agent for that. My phone rang one day and says, "Hey, I'm doing this little project, this web series, and I'd love for you to be part of it." Okay,
right? Yeah. Did they let you keep the tracksuits?
No, but I did keep the sunglasses that he wears.
Oh, okay.
But again, but out of that little community of actors, I now have like 5 or 6 different things on my resume that came out of my saying yes to that.
That's awesome.
Because on the set that day and talking to the DOP, and then 2 months later, I get an email, "Hey Charles, I'm directing my first project. I'd love for you to be part of it. I think there's a character in here you do really well at." I said, "Oh, great." Responded back, "Hey, send me the script. I'll have a read, and let me know, if you want me to send in a tape." And my phone rang, and he's laughing. He goes, "No, Charles, we'd be honored if you would just do the role."
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. And that's kind of spiraled into a bunch of, because one of the great things about where I live in Calgary, there's a really nice community of artists.
Yeah.
That are, writers and producers and directors, and we've all sort of gotten to know each other over the years. And these guys are, everybody's doing projects, and sometimes your phone just rings and, "Hey, we're gonna go shoot a movie. We'd love you to be part of it." Okay. Right.
Yeah, so, I mean that's pretty well, that's what comes, I guess, of being in the industry for a while. You make those connections, and then it gets you some roles down the road.
You never know. Be nice to everybody. Start with kindness, because the person that the person who might be working craft services on the film that you're currently working on is also, a writer or has aspiration to produce or direct, and you don't know. And I've been caught like that, where, the PA who drove me back and forth, months later, I get a phone call and she says, "Hey, I don't know if you remember me, but I was your driver." I said, "Oh, okay. But I'm producing this short film, and I'd love for you to be part of it." Really?
That's awesome. I've kind of, my whole life kind of went with that philosophy, because you just never know, especially, if you're working, whatever career it is, you might be somebody's boss, and 10, 15 years down the road, they might be your boss.
Yes.
So you don't want to be burning bridges.
Life's too short and simple. Just literally, my philosophy on that is very simple. First, seek to do no harm. And second, start with kindness.
Yeah,
for everybody and everyone. Everybody, everyone, everywhere. The world doesn't have enough of it. Start with kindness. There's no harm. It costs you nothing to be nice.
Yeah. That seems like something Pastor Bruce might say.
Yes. He would say, start with. I'm enamored with this character. I hope that they continue.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you is there plans to make, I know there's several adaptions to this, but in this particular one, are they going to continue?
Well, I've been told yes. And then I saw Kevin do an interview. I saw it online a couple of days ago, and he said, same thing that I was told. They're writing the second one right now and going to shoot it later this year. And Kevin said that to me when I was doing the narration, because he was on the line. I was in the studio doing the narration, and I said, "The way you got this narrated, Kevin, it's like you're setting up for the next movie." And he goes, "Oh, didn't I tell you it's already being written? And yeah, you're in it. We'll see you in a few months." And I was like, "Oh, okay. So I don't know. In this industry, there's always a lot of talk, but I would love if they did that. I would absolutely love it.
I would too. I think it's definitely a fertile ground for stories. You know, there's so many books that are out that even though there's been adaptions before, I don't think nobody cares. You know, they don't care, but they can watch an adaptation, enjoy it, and then come back and watch it again with a different group of actors and a little bit different twist. Still enjoy it. They love those stories.
This version is very timely. As I was watching it last night, I was like, oh, I like how they wove that in. Oh, you know, I didn't even notice that that's relevant today.
Yeah.
You know, wow, you know, talking about the one world currency and all. I was like, that's all timely. So, you know, people I think will watch this and go away and I'm hoping that they go away and they think about it and they don't see it just as a faith-based film, but as a film about the human condition, but a film about people and what would you do? I mean, we just, you know, we say we came through. We literally came through a pandemic.
That's right.
And it's funny, I was saying this to my wife the other day. I said, you know, we are survivors. We survived the pandemic. I didn't get it. My two boys, it ran through our house, and I didn't get it, right? But everybody knows somebody who knows somebody who was affected or lost somebody to the pandemic. So we're survivors. We made it through.
Well, we hadn't had one in 100 years.
Yeah. This is a once in a lifetime event.
Hopefully.
Hopefully. Yeah. But, you know, and so you kind of look at it and you go, because I mean, my stepson graduated at the start of the pandemic, started his first year of university.
Oh, wow.
Did it online in the basement, right? Yeah. Then second year, he got to go on campus finally, went away to go to, you know, and I wanted him to have that away.
That's right.
Have the experience, right? But then he got there and there was an outbreak and he was confined to his dorm, right? And then when finally all of that went away and everything, the teachers went on strike.
Yeah.
So you know, that kid has not had that full university experience yet.
Don't you think that it's that age and younger? Those are the ones that got hit the hardest with this. Yes. Because it really disrupted their lives.
Everything.
And they don't even know what they're missing, but we know.
We know. We look at them and go, you know, because I know I went to university. I wanted them to have that experience, you know, and, you know, Thursday night was pub night and you met with your friends.
Yeah, it's the best time of your life.
Right? He hasn't had that experience. He had the COVID experience. And so so again,
we had a couple of the grandkids were born early with COVID, and it affected them because they were so isolated for the first several months of their lives. You know, there was a time period there where we would go see them, but wouldn't, you know, we'd be looking through a door. You know, you wouldn't actually be touching them because you're quarantined. And it took them a while to get acclimated to being around people because they were so isolated so early. And I just, some of that was, hopefully we'll never go through again.
Yes. And, you know, it's okay. We look at all the negatives, right? And I don't want to go down this rabbit hole too far, but we think, look at all the negatives, right? Look at all the negatives. And then you ask yourself, one of the bright sides of COVID is it taught you what was important.
Yeah.
And what you value, right? And it brought the family back together for us because, you know, we're always off and madly in all directions and stuff, but COVID kind of brought us all home. And family game night became important. And being able to, you know, when you go out and you saw your friends, you hugged them and you couldn't shake hands or hug, but you could hug the people in your house.
That's right. Yeah, so, it made you appreciate your immediate family.
Yes. And, you know, and you rediscovered them because in some cases, you know, because my kids are teenagers and one's a young adult, they have their own lives and we all go in different directions, but now we're all home together. Right. So
there's definitely some pluses to it, especially if you were smart enough to actually make good use of the time. You know, a lot of people, I think they got in there like, this is only going to be a couple weeks, so no big deal. And then it kept dragging on, and then it ended, and they're like, I didn't do anything with that.
Yeah,
and you're probably never going to have that downtime again.
Picked up some hobbies.
Pick up a skill. I know a lot of people learn guitar and maybe how to cook and different things. And write a book.
My younger son started baking and and all that, and I was like, look, stuff you probably you put down your device and now you're in the kitchen baking. That's
fantastic. I mean, that's a positive.
Yeah.
Well, Charles, thank you so much for taking a little bit of time. I told you I've been a fan of yours for a while. When I was going to doing my research, I was like, I'm still looking at the 90s as like 15 years ago. It's 30.
Yeah, 30.
And I'm looking, I'm like, oh man, he's been doing this a while.
30 years ago, I think. 37, 40. Yeah, wow. Now I'm aging myself, but
I know.
Yeah. But you know what? It's been fun, and I hope it continues, because acting is the one thing you can do forever.
Yeah, that's the truth. Until you're just ready to quit, you can just keep going.
You can just keep going, and I will keep going as long as they'll have me.
Well, I got a feeling as long as Kevin Sorbo's working, you're in good shape.
Yes, well, if Kevin gets to hear this, I'm gonna put this out there. When we were on set doing this, he says, I'm going to come back to Calgary and do another movie with you. We should do a Western. Can you ride a horse? I said, yes. Absolutely. Yes. Bring it on. Right. So.
Well, now, can you actually ride a horse, or were you just saying yes?
No, I can actually ride a horse.
Because I know that I've learned that that's a trick that actors use. Hey, can you do this? Oh, yeah. I'm great at that. And then they go and scramble and try to figure it out. No.
If I tell you I can do it, it's because I can do it, because I'm not going to show up, because that's expensive to show up and not be able to deliver on what you said you could do, because that's cost in production. And how many other people, I've seen that happen. I've seen actors get fired because they said they could, and then they couldn't.
Yeah, and they couldn't do it. I would love to see the two of you in a Western. That'd be fun.
Well, from your lips to God's ear and Kevin's social media.
Yeah. So Charles, a couple of things before we wrap. Anything else that you've got that you're working on that we can kind of keep an eye
on? I have a couple more projects one's coming out later this year, and then I have a short that I wrote that we're going to go to camera in September with. So yeah.
Ooh, so what's that one called?
It's called Choice, and it's got a religious theme to it as well.
Oh, and you reminded me, but I'm glad I remembered this. Didn't you do a short, like a fan film about Miles Morales?
Yes. I played Spider-Man's dad in Miles Behind. That's, again, say yes. The phone rang one day, and these again, I love this creative community that I live in, and they said, hey, we're doing this film and we'd love for you to be part of it. And I said, send me the script, let me have a look. And then he called me next day and he goes, did you read the script? And I said, yeah. He goes, what'd you think? I said, I think this is a fun little thing you got here. He goes, great. We're going to shoot on these days. Are you available? And I'm like, oh, okay. So showed up.
Well, I'm going to cross my fingers that somebody from Marvel catches that. And they're like, hey, we got to have that. We need a Miles Morales' dad.
Yeah, live, and that'll work too. But this is making it's been shown at a lot of conventions and what have you. And, and I think it's got a few 100,000 views or something like that. And and it was just fun.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that's terrific. So last thing, Charles, are you on social media? And if you are, where can we find you?
I'm on Instagram. I am on Facebook.
Fun one.
But go to Instagram, and I'm on Twitter at cpayne567, and I'm on Instagram just Charles Andrew Payne.
Yeah, very nice, very nice. Right. Yeah, Instagram's kind of the fun, the nice one. Facebook it's skewing a little older now. It was the new thing. Now it's not. And then Twitter, you go on when you're just mad.
No, yeah. Twitter's I kind of worry about Twitter, but the funny thing about Facebook is my social media coordinator, my teenage son's like, Dad, Grandpa's on Facebook. Why are you there? You're missing your demographic. So Instagram it is. Go to Instagram. It's Charles Andrew Payne. You can find me there and give a follow. I do I have to admit, I'm not always a proficient poster, but my social media coordinator, teenage son, says, no, you got to post stuff. So, and they
Well,
tried to
you
get me to
gotta
go to
have a
TikTok.
guy. That's
Yeah.
what I've said that my whole life. Whatever situation, you gotta have a guy. You gotta know who to call. So he's your
Well,
social.
social media, I don't understand it. I'm a 56-year-old man. I don't understand social media, but he's there to give me pointers. He's 15.
That's right. My parents will call me for technical help
Mm-hmm.
because to them, I'm the savvy technical. I don't know anything.
No, you're a wizard because you actually know how it works.
I know a little. Yeah, I know a little bit. But what ends up never fails. I always end up having to call one of the kids and get them to help because it's amazing. The younger they are, the more they seem to know, and the easier they can maneuver.
It's a joke that I wrote, and I've never actually done it on stage. But I'm like, if you see me loitering outside the high school or the elementary school, I'm not a pervert or anything. I'm just trying to get somebody to open my iPad.
Oh, you need to use that one. That's funny. Need a little technical assistance. But Charles, you got to come back if you do a sequel to this one. You got to come back on.
Oh, absolutely.
Maybe a comedy special at some point.
It's on the roadmap. So yes, and I really appreciate you having me on, Michael. And absolutely, when I've got something else to promote, then I'll reach out to you.
You know where to find me. So yeah, please do.
Fantastic. Appreciate it, my friend.
All right, sir. Hold on one second. Charles Andrew Payne. What a terrific guy. He's so positive. I love positive guests. It lifts me up and kind of inspires me. And I love that his motto is just say yes. I think that's terrific. Hope you enjoyed that. That was a lot of fun for me. Left Behind, Rise of the Antichrist is out January the 26th. So a week from today. Definitely go and check that out. I think you'll enjoy that, especially if you're a fan of the books or if you like Kevin Sorbo. Corbin Burnsen's in there as well. Should be a really good movie. Looking forward to that one. If you're new to us, to the podcast, if you're watching or listening for the first time and you're like, I'd like to see or hear more of these guys, we could really use your help and your support. And there's a couple of easy ways to do that. If you're watching, it's YouTube, MeisterCon Pod. Please subscribe. Just hit that subscribe button. It really does help us just unbelievable amount. And it's free. It doesn't cost you a thing, but it gives you access to all of our videos. So please help us that way. If you're listening, whatever podcast platform you're listening on, just hit subscribe. That'll help us as well. You can also find we're up to 512 episodes currently and counting. We've been doing this. We just passed our 4th year anniversary. That's a lot of episodes, and we love it, and we want to just keep bringing them. So if you want to see or hear any of those, all those 512 are on our website, meistercon.com. So definitely check us out there, and it'll also let you know if we have anything in studio going on, if we're going on location, if we're covering a convention, whatever we're doing. That'll be on the website, meistercon.com. So check us out there. Thank you guys so much. Until next time. Bye, everybody.